Hey all, here at OS Reviews. This is a quick look at the mob-free Zooper cable. I know what you're thinking, charging cables are kind of boring and a dime a dozen, but what makes this one a bit unique is it has two tricks up its sleeve. The first, the cable length is actually retractable and can be pulled out to a length of 1.75 meters, making it much longer than the conventional cable, and then it just easily tucks away again to a more tidy design when not being used. The bottom also features a sticky 3M tape that can be mounted onto any flat surface like a table, and also positioned freely by rotating the hinge. The cable here also has three tips, including a USB Type-C, which supplies up to 100 watts that can charge any laptops, including MacBooks. You also get a Lightning cable for charging iPads and iPhones, as well as an older micro USB cable as well. What is worth mentioning though is the 100 watts is the maximum power output. So if you are charging three devices at once, do note that it's going to be split between the three sources. But if only using the Type-C port, for example, it'll use the maximum 100 watts. Comes in a few different color variants. The micro USB port outputs at 18 watts, which is relatively standard. And as far as the other side, by the way, it is using just a standard Type-C port. And that is one part of the design which I do wish might be maybe slightly refined in a future gen model, which is the other side of this cable that plugs into power doesn't actually retract into the casing. It's only the side that contains the three different adapter tips. So this side also could be tucked in, I think could make the presentation even more neat. Granted, it's not necessarily being advertised as a travel charging cable because of that 3M tape, since it'll likely be attached onto your table or your office desk. So that's also one area where maybe in another future model they can make this docking part detachable so that you can pop it onto the desk and also take it out for on-the-go travel. That could make it even more convenient, since the retractable design is quite smart and can prevent tangling from happening since everything is encased in the plastic here. Otherwise, the cable itself does feel pretty high quality with metal trim. The cable part is a pretty thick rubber, which is flat, that also tries to resist any tangling. There's just a little bit of branding info there on the back, which is made out of this polycarbonate matte plastic material. We can see that the charging begins almost instantly when being plugged in. Similarly, plugging in another device here via micro USB also seems to work fine. They'll be charging simultaneously. It is a smart charger in the sense that whenever the battery reaches 100% on a single device, it will stop charging that particular unit and continue charging the other product until the battery reaches full, and then it will stop charging. And then finally, here is the Lightning cable. I'm also going to plug it into an iPhone, and we can see that the charging here will work as well. Overall, working well enough, and again, this rotatable dock, once you have it attached onto the desk, does stay in place quite well. You're able to, again, more freely position it depending on how you're using your device, and once you pull on it again, it will retract automatically all the way inside. Similarly, in my personal testing, didn't have any problems when charging up tablets and laptops alike. Most devices getting charged up in about an hour and a half, depending on the battery capacity and the speed of the charger that you have the other end plugged into. The cable, again, just supplying up to maximum 100 watts. So it is worth pointing out that there are a couple of niche Chinese smartphones on the market these days from companies like Oppo and Vivo, which can theoretically get even faster charging speeds up to something like 200, 240 watts. So on those devices, obviously, you could probably find even faster charging cables with those particular manufacturers, but those cases are still pretty rare, and even on most Windows laptops and MacBooks, 100 watts is still going to be more than sufficient, where you can use your laptop while charging at the same time and still providing a pretty quick top-up. So that is more or less it as far as our hands-on look at the mop-free Zooper cable. Again, a pretty simple product at the end of the day, but really just having a slightly more convenient design that makes this everyday gadget a little bit more practical, especially if you want to have your desk look a little bit more tidy and neat. You can learn more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.